Hello and welcome back. We are, we're still in chapter 8. Let me tell you about that in a minute. Chapter 8, verses 31 through 59. We're calling this part 3, slavery and the devil. Let's read it again. So Jesus said to the Jews who had believed in him, "If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." They answered him, "We are offspring of Abraham, and have never been enslaved to anyone. How is it that you say you will become free?" And Jesus answered them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, everyone who practices sin is a slave to sin. The slave does not remain in the house forever. The son remains forever. So if the son sets you free, you will be free indeed. I know that you are the offspring of Abraham, yet you seek to kill me because my word finds no place in you. I speak of what I have seen with my father, and you do what you have heard from your father." They answered him, "Abraham is our father." And Jesus said to them, "If you were Abraham's children, you would be doing the works that Abraham did. But now you seek to kill me, a man who has told you the truth that I heard from God. This is not what Abraham did. You are doing the works of your father." They said to him, "We were not born of sexual immorality. We have one Father, even God." And Jesus said to them, "If God were your Father, you would love me, for I came from God and I am here. I came not of my own accord, but he who sent me. Why do you not understand what I say? It is because you cannot bear to hear my word. You are of your father, the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, and he does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. But because I tell you the truth, you do not believe me. Which one of you convicts me of sin? If I tell the truth, why do you not believe me? Whoever is of God hears the words of God. The reason why you do not hear them is that you are not of God." The Jews answered him, "Are we not right in saying that you are a Samaritan and have a demon?" Jesus answered, "I do not have a demon, but I honor my Father, and you dishonor me. Yet I do not seek my own glory. There is one who seeks it, and he is the judge. Truly, truly, I say to you, if anyone keeps my word, he will never see death." The Jews said to him, "Now we know that you have a demon. Abraham died, as did the prophets, yet you say, if anyone keeps my word, he will never taste death. Are you greater than our father Abraham, who died? And the prophets died. Who do you make yourself out to be?" Jesus answered, "If I glorify myself, my glory is nothing. It is my Father who glorifies me, of whom you say, he is our God. But you have not known him. I know him. If I were to say that I do not know him, I would be a liar like you. But I do know him, and I keep his word. Your father Abraham rejoiced that he would see my day. He saw it and was glad." So the Jews said to him, "You are not yet 50 years age, and have you seen Abraham?" Jesus said to them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am." So they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple. So yes, we're looking at this passage a third time because there's just so much in it to think about, so much to understand. And I'm going to have probably one more episode, it could even be two, on this passage that's going to focus on what the Bible means when we say glory, as well as a review of all of these verses. So Lord willing, we can kind of pull this all together and read it through and have it land on us and make sense. So today we're going to look at 4 contrasts that Jesus makes in this passage. 1, the work that Abraham did versus the work of the devil. It's one contrast. 2, your father is the devil, my father is God. 3, loving the truth versus hating the truth. And 4, loving the truth teller versus hating the truth teller. So each one of these contrasts presents kind of polar opposites, and we're going to see what's behind creating these polar opposites. The first thing we're going to look at is Jesus' words when he says to them that everyone who practices sin is a slave to sin. So what is the practice of sin? I'll put it this way. The practice of sin is when a person's life is dominated by sinning and can't stop doing, speaking, and thinking in ways that God hates. So please note that I'm not saying that a person who practices sin never does something good or nice. What I'm saying is they habitually do things that are not pleasing to God. When a person can't stop sinning, again, I'm not calling for perfection, that's not what I mean, but this pattern, this practice of sinning, if they can't stop it, he or she is a practitioner of sin. You ready for this? If I told you that you were a practitioner of sin, would you agree? Would you be insulted? The Jewish leaders were. It got so far under the Jewish leaders' skin that they hated hearing it, and they just wanted to remove that person that was speaking these kinds of words and kill him. So maybe you're feeling some of those feelings too. Maybe you immediately reject that what I'm telling you here is true. But maybe also you're beginning to see that this is a true statement from Jesus about you. Yes, you can make decisions to do what's right or wrong. But if you examine your motives, the decisions you make are all about flowing something back to you that you want, something you're after. So examples. You may lie to get what you want. You may not speak the truth when you have the opportunity because you don't want to get involved. You're fearful. You don't want to help somebody else. You may cheat just a little on your taxes. You might take something home from the office that doesn't belong to you. Or leave early without permission from your employer. That's stealing material or stealing time. You might call in sick when you're not. You might manipulate your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your parents or your spouse to get what you want. You may gossip or even twist the truth just a little when you talk about others. You may fantasize about having sex with someone you're not married to. And on and on and on. Sins of actions, sins of words, sins of thoughts. It's all centered, self-centered, I should say, selfish, and it's about you. And I'm not just throwing stones at you or shooting arrows at you. I'm talking about myself as well. I have been there. And there's something inside you that tells you that what you're doing is wrong. You know it, but you can't change your ways. That's the slavery to sin that Jesus is talking about. If we went to the 6th chapter of the book of Romans, the Apostle Paul wrote that book, and there he describes this as slavery or bondage to sin. And again, it's not about a select group of people. This is about everyone that has been born since Adam and Eve, since they first committed that first sin in the Garden of Eden, disobeyed God. All of us now are born with a sinful nature and are in bondage or slaves to sin from our very first day here on earth. So no, not even the so-called innocent baby is free from this slavery. Come on, have you not seen a baby manipulate their parents to get a bottle or a toy or refuse to go to bed quietly? Have you seen that anger? Or how about the classic behavior of a 1 or 2-year-old who has been told, don't go near that electrical outlet. Don't put your hand near that burner. Don't open that door. On and on and on. What is the first thing they do when they're not being watched? They are beautiful, disobedient buggers. So, You're not truly free unless you've been set free by Jesus. And then you can say without anger, yes, that's what I was. I was a practitioner of sin. But now I'm a practitioner of doing God things. Things that honor God, in obedience to God, out of love for God, because you're following God. And again, we're not talking about perfection, but a pattern of obeying God in your life, as opposed to this pattern of sin and disobedience. So Jesus is saying, you can't understand the truth and you can't be free unless I free you. You can't see the truth or understand it unless I give you the sight to see it. Is there someone else involved in this inability to see the truth? Yes, there is. And his name is Satan, or, as Jesus refers to him here, the devil. Who is he? He is an angel who fell in love with the idea that he would like to be God himself. He hates God, and he spends all of his time trying to keep people from believing the truth. He is the one who convinced Eve to disobey God in the Garden of Eden. He is wickedly smart and devious, and he will do all he can to keep people from being set free from their slavery to sin by believing Jesus. Another book in the Bible I'll quote from here is the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 4. You can look this up. It refers to Satan as the god of this world. Not God like the one true God, but someone who has a great deal of control of what's going on here on the planet. It says, the god of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel, the good news of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. He blinds people from being able to see, being able to understand, being able to love Christ. So they'll stay in bondage and keep on sinning. Jesus says he's a murderer. Yeah. Speaking to Christians, the Apostle Peter, in 1 Peter, or 1 Peter is the name of that book in the Bible, chapter 5, verse 8. You can look this one up. Peter is writing to believers, and he's saying, be sober-minded. Be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. So this creature, this devil, this one by the name of Satan, he is all about trying to destroy Christians and trying to keep people who are not believers, people that are in bondage and slavery to sin, to stay where they are. He is totally against the kingdom of Jesus Christ, and he'll do anything he can to stop it. Now, we know that actually he can't stop it. He can get in the way. He can do some of these things that we're concerned about, yes, but the ultimate goals of God and what he's going to do cannot be stopped by Satan. He's a powerful being. He's a powerful angel, but he's not God. We can talk more about that in another passage. But this is what's going on here, and there's a lot going on here in this passage. People don't wake up one day and decide that they want to follow Jesus because even though they have a free will to do so, the condition of that free will has been damaged by sin. And it's just not in our nature to want to obey God. We're slaves to a nature that's predisposed to obeying self rather than God, and that sinful nature is a kind of slavery to sin. So this is why Jesus is making these four contrasts as he's talking to these people who don't believe in him. We'll go back to them here. The work Abraham did was to obey God, and the work of the devil would like to destroy God and God's people. The second one was, your father is the devil. That is, you're doing what your father does, versus my father is God, and I'm doing what he does. 3, loving the truth is done by those who have been set free from bondage to sin, versus hating the truth, which is done by those who are deaf and blind to even understand it. And the last one, 4, loving the truth teller, in this case Jesus, loving the truth teller by those who believe in him, versus hating the truth teller by those who reject him. There is only one way out of the slavery, and that's Jesus Christ. Through the work of Jesus and the Spirit of God, we can receive a new nature. You remember that conversation between Nicodemus and Jesus back in chapter 3. And the Spirit came, and a person has to be born again. And when that happens, when we believe in Jesus, we abide in Jesus' word. And that new life that we get, we can live now and, of course, forever. Believers can hear the word of God. It finds a place in their heart. And then they are compelled to abide in Jesus and his word forever. So, a lot here today, these 4 contrasts, talking about slavery to sin, talking about practicing sin, talking about the devil, and then, of course, talking about being free from that bondage, that slavery. That is what Christ wants to do for you. That's what he wants to do for me, and I have accepted that in my life. I hope you are thinking deeply about these things. We're not even halfway through this book yet, and it's fabulous what's been revealed already. I hope the Lord is working in your heart. And I thank you for listening in, and I will see you next time.